just got back home, and I think we're going to get started because it is 5 o'clock and we love to get started on time. Today, we're going to be talking about achieving meaningful success. And we talk a lot about success. So, what is I found interesting is the first step to achieving meaningful success is defining the person you aspire to be. Sounds like a lot of big words, but it really hit me because it makes you think and it makes you say, okay, who is it and what is it that I aspire to be? So first we have to focus on defining us and our aspirational goals, and then becoming the best version of ourselves to realize those aspirations. And I'd love to hear from all of you if you know and have you defined the person that you're aspiring to be. So we've got Dr. Vivek Mansingh with us. He's a partner and mentor at the Gurugram-based early stage VC fund called YourNest. He's had a long and successful journey. He's on the board of many, many companies: Turbostart, Royal Orchid Hotels, Velocity Global, and Innovatia. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Rachna Thakurdas Singh has published many books. Her debut novel, which is very interesting, is Dating, Diapers and Denial. So we'll have to also ask about that, is what are we denying here? And has remained on the bestseller stands for over a year. The New Indian Express has hailed her as part of a new wave of genuinely funny, smart, and self-aware women writers in the country. And she calls herself the original Mrs. Funnybone. So we're dying to hear and see what that is. And I'm looking forward to the conversation today. And I'm going to get us started. So tell us what made you two very, very different people. You're writing about diapers and dating, and you're writing from the business world, come together to create this book.
So Rachna, you want me to take a stab at it and then you jump in? All right. So as you said, first of all, welcome all the people who have joined on a holiday. I appreciate it very much. So here is the genesis of the book, Sukirti. I have mentored literally hundreds or even thousands of people in my 35 years of career. These people are all over the world, not just in India, in US, Japan, Taiwan, India, and many other places. And I have seen how effective mentoring is and how much difference I have made to these people. And these people are not just professionals. These people are from my driver's daughter to uneducated landscaper to CEOs, right? So then after I retired—
I want to ask you this question because this has always come up, the importance of a mentor. Please, I know I'm stopping you right here, but I want you to please instill that a little bit further, because this is a concept that is catching up.
Well, it has caught up. It has been there for a long time. India is waking up to it a little bit. So so let me continue, and then I'll highlight this as well. So I think when I retired from Cisco, I said, okay, what do I want to leave as my legacy? And I said, I want to mentor 1 million people now.
Wow.
All right. So now 1 million is not a small number. How would you do? Would you mentor 1 million people? And that is where the core of the book came into being, because I said, if I can actually write a book and provide a website for people for online mentoring, then I can reach out to 1 million people. So that was the genesis of the book. And then when I decided to write the book, I was looking for a partner who knew me, who understood me, who understood writing. And I have, by the way, written 2 technology books in US before, but I haven't written this kind of book here. So Rachna was in L&D in Dell when I was head of Dell R&D. And so I reached out to her and I said, why don't we write this together? And Rachna said, absolutely yes, and rest is history. The book has come into being. I'm going to defer it to Rachna in a minute, but I just want to let you know, Sukirti, that I'm returning after meeting with Penguin in Delhi, and they have said that it has had a phenomenal success, and probably the first book which they have made available in US, UK, Australia, and other countries in such a short period of time. Book is just available for maybe 6 weeks or so, and it is already requested from all over the world. So the book is very successful, which means people are hungry for this information. And let me give it to
So
Rachna to
before you
explain
give
it.
it, I want to say how lucky the people are here. Please ask him your questions directly because you're getting it live from the mentor himself. Go ahead, Rachna.
Yes, Rachna, you take a stab at it, and I'll be happy to come back and answer your mentoring question, Sukirti.
Thank you, sir. Firstly, on Sukirti's question on what is success and how do you define success? And I've had a very checkered kind of professional career. And what I've learned in that is we women need some bit of maturing and prodding and introspection to realize what success is as it means to us, not as it means to Sharma ji ka ladka or your own parents or neighbors. And for women, it's I feel a slightly more difficult journey than it is for the other gender. So I got my first job quite by chance in Tata Motors, and I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed my subsequent jobs also in the area of talent management. But did I ever sit down and think, what do I want to do with my life? And it happened pretty late when I realized that I liked to write. I also realized I want to spend more time with the children. I also realized I want to make people laugh. And towards the end of this journey and the new me, I am no longer in talent management. I'm a content writer. And I realized, yes, even at this age, I can make a complete change in my career. So what really resonated with me in this book is that, yes, you got to sit down. It's a conscious exercise. It's an exercise that will not happen in your dreams or by chance. You have to sit down, think of what you want to be, get in front of you all the demons that are holding you back. And for that, a mentor is really important. I have a mentor who takes pages and pages of my books that I write and literally tears them and says, this is crap. And when I'm able to take in that feedback without breaking apart, that is where I become a better person. So defining what success is and setting the right goals, what I learned from Dr. Mansingh and this book teaches in a very, very fine manner, is a very conscious and step-by-step activity, which if we don't do, the years of our lives will just unfold in front of us and we go on to the next year and the next year.
Rachna, you're coming in and out.
I'll try to change. So I'm back to Dr. Mansingh on mentoring.
Yeah, so your line, you are coming and going, Rachna. You might want to switch the line. I'll fill up, while you are sort of coming back. So, Sukirti, I will highlight success part and then mentoring part that you wanted. So, I have defined in the book, which you repeated, that to me, the book is in one line: define who you aspire to be, and then become that person. Most people never define, and that is where the problem begins. This is where you need a mentor to help you, and the book itself is a mentor here. But let me give you a couple of examples, right? Um, Mahendra Singh Dhoni was a ticket collector, for example, in railways. We all know that, right? He didn't aspire to become a station master or a senior ticket collector. He aspired to play cricket for India, and he did. Right? This is what aspiration means. I can give you example after example. So many entrepreneurs, so many artists, they aspire big and then become worthy of it by becoming the best version of yourself. So the book covers both parts. First, it helps you define who you aspire to be, and define it in very holistic way, not just for your professional
And I
goals.
hope, Dr. Vivek, you're also going to give us those tips today for the people listening, that how can we get started on this journey also?
Yes, I will. And that is what the book is actually about. So book talks about defining your holistic goals in two parts. One is your professional goals. These could be professional career, education, your material goals, financial goals, etc. But the equally important, the other half, which is your well-being goals, where health comes into, relationship comes into, giving back comes into, fun comes into, and many other goals that you would like. So both sides are very, very important. And a lot of research work has been done, which I have quoted in the book. where people have single dimensionally focused on career goals or financial goals. Towards the end of their life, they have said that they haven't led a good life. They have considered themselves a failure. So I think the book in chapter 2 sits down and asks you to define some of these goals. It helps you think big when you are aspiring to set up your goals. And then it takes you to the second part, which is now you have to become the best version of yourself to achieve your aspirations. So Mahendra Singh Dhoni didn't sit and wait for the call from Indian cricket team. He improved his fitness, improved his game, and improved his mindset, and so many things to become worthy of playing for India. And that is what the book covers. So these are the two major parts.
So tell us, when we are thinking about this question that, okay, we want to define the person we aspire to be, what is the trajectory and what is the timeline that we should be projecting out? Because that very question, we can only look at, should we look at 3 years? Should we look at 5 years? Should we look at 10 years? Then we get overwhelmed.
Yeah, excellent question. And I think it's like many other things. You will have to start with whatever you are comfortable with. It is very hard for a 15-year-old. By the way, book is relevant for 15-year onwards. So if you say a 15-year-old to define life goals, it's very, very difficult and literally impossible. Or even a 30-year-old. So it's okay. Define 10 years goal, 5-year goal, 20-year goal, whatever you are comfortable with, define and start with that. The key is in defining something and then breaking it down into actionable steps, and then start working on becoming that person who deserves that, whatever you are aspiring to be. And so 5-year, 10-year, 20 years, I have mentored people who can define their goals for life. I have also mentored people who have hard time defining beyond 5 years. Both are fine. The main point is get started, not worry too much about whether it is 5 or 20.
Now, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. What is the first question you start with when you're mentoring somebody who does not know what their goals are? And the second question is, how different and empowering would this be in comparing this to Ikigai or in the Indian connotation in particular?
Yeah, the book is very much written for Indians, by the way, Indians in India and Indians abroad. And it is actually expanded version of Ikigai. Ikigai focuses primarily on profession and financial success and so on. This is much more holistic. So now the second part of your question, what is the first question I ask?
Because imagine you're mentoring me and I'm saying, you know what? I actually don't have a clue what I'd like to do in 3 years.
Yeah. So I tell people now that please go and read the book. And a book is very, very actionable. It shares the context with you. It tells you what the next steps are. And it gives you many, many examples close to where you might be. There are examples for people who are students, to early career, to mid-career, to CEOs. So somebody will actually become your role model. And you will say, oh, this person did this, so I can do this as well. By the way, let me just digress for a minute. It's a very important point that I want to make. There's a chapter in the book I call you need 4 more gods in your life. So one God we know, we all need that God, but there are 4 more gods. Who are these? People who inspire you. People who inspire you, you don't have to become like them, but they inspire you and you pick up 1 or 2 good qualities from them and try to instill in yourself. So for example, for me, Rahul Dravid is the person who inspires me. Narayan Murthy is the person who inspires me. I can pick up and learn some things from them. So everyone should have some people who inspire them. Kiran Majumdar could be a good one. Vani Kola. By the way, one of the chapters I have interviewed 11 people I admire, and that has several women, including Kiran Majumdar, Vani Kola, Vinita Bali, Swati Ramanathan, and so on. So first is inspire.
So that's the first God that we need.
First God
and goddess.
Because you are starting to appreciate someone, and what you appreciate, it's probably in the direction that you want to become. So I think when I ask people who inspires you, and people have
I
no
think this
idea.
is also a good question to ask the audience. Like, who is it that inspires them? We'd love to know that who is it that when you think about the first god and goddess, who is it that comes to their mind?
And before they get confused, let me tell the other gods. So the second god is role models, right?
So what's the difference between the first and the second?
So role model is the person who you would like to be. All right. I don't want to be a cricketer for Rahul Dravid. He inspires me, but I'm not a cricketer. But he inspires. What can I learn from his humility? From him, I can learn humility. I can learn integrity. I can learn his seriousness. I can learn his focus on excellence. Lot I can learn from Rahul Dravid, even though I don't want to play cricket. So inspirers are people who inspire you. You can learn few things from. Role models are people who you want to be like. So here you are starting to set destination, Sukirti. See, yes. you are saying, oh, I want to be like Vinita Bali. I would like to be like Kiran Majumdar. I would like to be my professor who's teaching me this particular subject. This is where you starting to give sort of signs to your brain that this is what you would like to be.
This is very interesting, because I think this is the first time somebody is separating what a role model is and what is an inspirational person. And we're getting some interesting answers also coming in. Ankita says, my father, followed by Sheryl Sandberg. Karnam says, Ratan Tata. Cynthia says, my mom. Sapna says, Sudha Murthy. Kiran Kher. Usha Uttap. And my yoga class coordinator. Amita says, my dad and mom. It's also about relating to specific people and their journeys. Very interesting.
Perfect. I like all the answers. And there is no right or wrong answer here. It is, you are different.
People, when you're putting in the answer, I would love for you to put in, do they inspire you or are they your role model?
That's right.
That is question number one. So this differentiation that we need to start making in our minds, that whether it's a role model or an inspiration, I think it's a very good one.
Now,
so that's
now
God
let me
number
come.
1 and 2.
God number 1 and 2. God number 3 is a mentor, a guru, a mentor who will help you get to your destination. Right? So now it's a mentor, and I'll come back to mentor later. Let me cover the fourth God, which is books, podcasts, and talks like what we are doing today. Learn from any source that you can. And books are obviously very important source, but so are TED Talks, so are podcasts. So learn. I challenge people that read 50 books in your area of interest, and you will become a different person.
When you say 50 books, that's in 1 year?
You decide. The whole beauty of my book is that I show you the way. It's ultimately you decide what goals you want to achieve, at what speed you want to achieve. I'm not going to prescribe you that you should do this. I'm showing you the way. You decide what you want to do. And that is very important part, because every person is different. And you can't make everyone a Narayan Murthy or a Kiran Majumdar or a Vinita Bali. They are all different people, and we should respect that. But I think so. Here are 4 gods. I want to repeat, right? Inspirers, role models, mentors, and then books or podcasts and so on. We need all these 4. The problem, Sukirti, is that we have removed these 4 gods from our life. And that is why we are so confused.
But today you see, and I'm going to ask you this question, Vivek, and we're going to go to Rachna. There's so much information and we're surrounded by so many inspirational characters. We have so much more information. We've got full web series dedicated to them. So why are we so confused now? And why are women, I'll come back to my third question, why is it a little bit more, or why is it different for women?
Yeah, I think so information is now available to us in God knows how many forms, and so much overflow of information that sometimes we confuse information with knowledge. They are 2 different things, right? So it's very important that you differentiate with them and use the information to your advantage, to your journey and what you want to achieve. Now, addressing the women question, right? There is no doubt that women have some tougher situations compared to men. Things are changing, things are happening, we are moving in the right direction, but there are still things to be worked out. Work-life balance is a very big issue worldwide. Equal pay is an issue. Harassment is an issue. Career opportunities can be an issue. And children, family, and career can be an issue. So these are the issues that have hurt women more probably and hurt them more. But fundamental belief does not change, Sukirti. And I have mentored a lot of women. I have worked for women. I have hired women. I have fired women. I have highest respect for women. My first mentor was my mother. I have highest respect for her, and so on. So aspiring big, for example, I think women have little harder time to aspire big because of the constraints they see themselves. So this is where mentor can help, and this is where book can help. And the fact that I have devoted chapter 12 to interviewing 11 people I admire, and 4 of them are women, shows you that I'm trying to give people an inspirational role model who can probably help them. So aspiring big is a challenge for women. It is a challenge for men too, by the way, but it can be more of a challenge. Now, the good thing is that more role models are appearing now. You can find women in politics, in sports, in professional career, in authors, in actresses, actor, painting, everywhere. So now what was not available 20, 30, 50 years back is now changing. You have role models in every field. And these people have led good life, they have led balanced life, and still have achieved excellence in their chosen profession. Education, career, and entrepreneurship. I meet so many people. There's really no blockage on education or any career is open to. I have hired so many women, and I've never felt there was any difference between a man and a woman. And that is true for Cisco's and Dells of the world. It is spreading across, and I think people will see the change. Now I'm seeing so many entrepreneurs who are women, and so many of them are doing a phenomenal job. So I think all this is changing. What do you need though as a woman? I think I'll go to Indra Nui, who I admire a lot, and she has spoken on this topic quite a bit, that she calls it a supporting system that helps a woman. So I think instead of arguing who does what and why women and why men, I think it is important for women to create a supporting system that helps them achieve their professional goals. But my advice to all of them, men or women, is that make sure you have multi-dimensional balanced goals. Only when you achieve that, you achieve meaningful success, which is happy, regret-free, and you are proud of that.
So first one we've done is the inspirers are easy because, we have so many. We can even identify some role models. But this mentor question, and I'll come back to it. And I'm sorry, I keep coming back to it. How do we figure out who, because you said that is God number 3.
Yes.
How do we figure out who is the right mentor for us? And how do we select them, reach out to them, or is it somebody in our network? How do we also become a mentor?
Excellent question, and covered in the book in a big way. Because the book itself is a mentor, and it helps you take 4 steps. And then, like they say in our mythology, when you are ready, the guru arrives, right? Now,
so is that why you're here today?
Well, maybe I can help. And my goal, as you know, Sukirti, is to impact 1 million people through the book and through my my website. Now, coming back, who is a good mentor? Ideal mentor is the person who has been there, done that in the path you are choosing to go after. Let me explain it a little more. If you want to be an entrepreneur, it will be great if you can find an entrepreneur who has gone and done what you are planning to do. If you want to be a doctor and say, I want to be a leading heart surgeon in my city, well, the ideal mentor will be the heart surgeon who is leading at this point and say, can you be my mentor? So that is ideal mentor, but it is very hard to get an ideal mentor.
Not only that, even the ideal mentors are so sought after. Like, how do you even get them?
That's right. So I have mentored so many people, and what I say now to people is, what have you done yourself to take 3 steps, 5 steps in this journey? And then I will decide if I'm going to put time and effort to help you. All the mentors will do the same thing. If you are a lawyer or you are an accountant and you want to have somebody leading practice and say, I want you to mentor me, that person is going to ask the same question. And that is exact purpose of the book. You tell them that I have read the book, and after reading the Dr. Mansingh's book, I have taken these 4 steps and I have made this much progress. Now I'm stuck here. And the person will say, oh, I like that. You have put some effort. By the way, you can also go to my website, vivekmansingh.com, and ask questions after reading the book, not before. So if you have read the book and you have a specific question, I'll help and answer. Now, another question, where are the mentors? Let me tell you my journey, Sukirti. So I have had 10 mentors over my professional life. First, I started with my mother. She gave me the role model. She gave me the inspirers. She was my aspiration setter as a technical degree I would want to pursue. My father was a technical person. So see, they were my role models. And so many of your people have already said dad, mom, and so on. So that is perfectly fine. But then I had to graduate from beyond that. Then mother's role was over. I did engineering. And then my uncle, who had done PhD in physics, became my role model, because I thought, oh, I want to do PhD, and there's reason for that. And then I did PhD. After PhD, my supervisor became my role model. After that, I said, I want to be #1 in my field in United States. My PhD is from United States. And I said, I want to be #1 in my field. Now, here is a fantastic story, Sukriti, that your audience will like it. Now, who do I make mentor in this case? Person who is already #1 in US in that field, right? Now, there is no way I can reach this person. His name was, by the way, Professor Aviram Barkohen. He was professor at University of Minnesota. So he was so far off, and I was starting so sort of new in this field that I made him my inspirer. And I read his books. I followed him wherever in the conference he was speaking. I would go and listen to him. He was truly a god. And I started learning from him, right? Slowly, he became my role model. I said, no, now I can become like him. I improved myself.
So your inspirer goes to role model, goes to your mentor.
Just see now. Then I elevated myself. He was not coming down. I elevated myself by reading the books, by improving my expertise and so on. And so then I made him my role model. And then even then I hadn't talked to him. Role model, you don't have to talk to them. Now, I again studied what he does and followed his work very closely. And then I started presenting papers along with him in some conferences. And then I met him and I said, I want you to be my mentor. But see how far I had come that he said, oh, I'm impressed, Vivek. You have done this far. Yes, I'll mentor you. And he guided me. And then I became his peer. We presented paper at the same
similar to what we call in spirituality, like we always needed a guru to attain this. Is this kind of a similar type of thing that's emerging now?
Well, mentor and guru are similar in a couple of ways. Let me tell you. First of all, you have to have respect for mentor. Otherwise, this doesn't work. So guru also you respect, mentor also you respect. Right? 2, guru is also holistic life. Guru is not. So the difference between coach and a mentor is that coach is for a specific skill that you want to develop. So I'm a leadership coach. I'm a badminton coach. I'm a cricket coach. But mentor deals with holistic life. And that is what gurus are also, by the way. So pehle dekhiye aap, the gurus would go, whether whoever was to be learning, they would go and live with guru. And guru will guide them across life. So many similarities. But I think the most important part is that you need to have very high respect for the mentor, so that you can trust that person, that person will guide you in the right direction. So then here is the story that my inspirer became my role model. Then he became my mentor. And I reached the spot of #1 in United States. And actually just opposite in my office, Sukirti, there is I worked with Steve Jobs because Steve worked with very, very highly capable people. And he gave me a poster of iMac, which is right behind me, which says Vivek and team couldn't have done without you, signed Steve Jobs.
Wow.
So
So is Steve Jobs as eccentric as we hear he is? And then I'll let you go back to your story.
Yes. So I have had a phenomenal opportunity to work with David Packard, Bill Hewlett, Michael Dell, Steve Jobs, and John Chambers. These are five people who
So
have
everybody in the tech world.
in the tech world I have worked. And now let me answer you. All of these people are very impatient people because they want to achieve a lot in the same 24 hours that is available to you and me. And if they are so impatient, they are not going to be nice all the time. If you are getting delayed, if you have made a mistake or you are making repeated mistakes, they don't like it. And they will tell you right up front. And that is why people have hard time working for this caliber of people. I love working for Steve and John Chambers and Michael Dell. You have also worked in Dell. And I love working for all these people because these people have such a high bar and they want you to actually jump over that. They push you, they encourage you, they will even sort of ask you to jump
So
this
these are the
bar.
qualities I think you're defining that we need to look for in a mentor.
In a mentor also. Exactly. So Steve, I loved working for him. He was not eccentric. He was just so driven that he wanted to achieve so much in such a short time. That's why people call them little eccentric or whatever you call it. He's one of my most admired person.
I'm going to give it to Rachna, but we're also getting a couple of people. Ankita is asking, how does the book address discovering one's meaning in success, given the changing generational dynamics around women growing and walking together, but men not being able to adapt to those changes at the same pace?
Yeah, let me just check. Is Rachna, are you there?
Yes, she is back, I think.
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. So I have been speaking for so long because I thought that you had dropped
and then
off.
Ashutosh also is saying, seems very America and India centric. Correct the book, or is it more global?
the book is extremely global. If anything, it is actually very centric to Indians, not for the content of the book or the direction of the book, but it is because the examples I have chosen to give are largely from Indians. And because I want to impact 1 million people in India, that is why I have done the focus. But book is relevant to Indians across the world, Indians across the world. I will come up with international edition at some point, but right now it is just focus on Indians across the world.
Now, one last question. Sorry, Vivek, I keep asking you so many. Difference between mentorship that you have seen in the US versus India. Are we there yet? Because there it is pretty progressive and people understand these concepts and are ready to say, okay, you know what, my role once I've developed professionally is also to mentor the next level of leaders.
I'll answer this question, but then I want to defer to Rachna.
Yes.
I've been unfair to her because I thought she was not there, so I was filling her up. Okay, so the answer to this question, I think in America,
I'd request you to carry on, sir.
I think she's still having network issues.
You are having that. But anyway, try.
I was just saying I'm having some network issue.
Okay. So anyway, I'll leave Sukirti to decide how to manage that. But let me answer the question you have. Yes, mentoring concept is quite evolved in US. Counselors are available in a school who can be their first mentors, and the concept is very well recognized. In India, it is just taking sort of first few steps in professional organizations. Dell's and Cisco's, for example, you may have a professional mentor who is part of your team, your manager, or somebody else can be your mentor, but they are only focused on your professional side of the things. And so that is the problem. And getting mentor in India is very, very, very difficult, Sukirti, because think about the second tier cities, think about the third tier cities. I come from
so how do we find this third God? Because we're still seeking that.
So get the book, first of all. That is exactly what the book does. I think take the book, like Rachna said, book is very actionable. It will take you at least 3-4 steps in this journey, and then you will be much better prepared to find a real life mentor. But even if you do not, I can guarantee you the book can change your life. And if you do not trust me, go to Amazon and see the reviews on this book. There are 40 odd reviews the last time I checked, and these are people from all backgrounds. And just check and see what they are saying about the book. It's also important, Sukirti, I'm trying to promote the book, but I want to clarify two things here. One, all the profits from the book are going to for eye care of the poor people. It's going to Chitrkut Eye Hospital, and it is for eye care of the poor people. So I'm not benefiting from the profits of the book at all. Also, my website, when people ask questions, there is no charge. I will answer those questions, or my mentees will answer those questions. There is no charge. So while I'm shamelessly promoting the book, the goal is not to benefit. My goal is to help you as a reader.
There's a question that came in from that we can answer. And Rachna, you can try switching off your video so see that we can get better voice quality. How does the book address discovering one meaning of success, given the one that Ankita has asked, the changing generational dynamics around women growing and men not being able to adapt to those changes?
So,
yeah, Rachna, you take it. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to address that question. However, directly, we are not talking about this assumption that men are not ready to keep pace with the women who are changing. I don't think we go there directly, but I can use some stories from life to tell you how I did it or how some other women have done it. For instance, when we were interviewing Karan Majumdar Shaw, I picked few threads from her and other women as well. One is that women who seek validation, we all seek validation as a gender, we seek more validation from others than probably the men do. And we need to take a very conscious stand that we are the only ones who have the answers. So Kiran Majumdar was talking about how interested she was in brewing, and she went and studied brewing. And when she came back, her parents said that, no, this is not a job for a woman. And instead of, becoming a victim or getting into a victim mentality, she said, well, it's the same enzyme technology, so why not start my pharma company? And this is a thread I see consistently across women who want to make a difference. I have this aunt who passed away, and she was a doctor. And once they have these sleepless nights and sleepless days, and once she was driving, she bumped her car into something. Now, another woman would feel very lost, and I'm talking about the 90s, and feel very hurt by the whole process. I'm not able to cope up and feel like a victim. But you know what she did? She composed a 4-line song, which she would sing to herself while driving to keep herself awake. So here is a woman who's saying, no, I'm not going to feel pity on myself. When I decided to write, I had 2 young children, and my commute to Delhi was about 45 minutes each side. And my first book has been written entirely in the car. So I can only share my personal views that when you are determined to do something, some doors do open up for you. And what Dr. Mansingh calls it as aham brahmasmi, that when you are really passionate and driven, the universe will conspire to, support you. A support structure is very important. And instead of being nitpicking of a lot of things that our staff or people around us have to offer, make do with what you have and celebrate those resources is also what I learned. My driver, for instance, was for the longest time babysitter. Though others frowned upon it, saying, how can you allow your driver to babysit? I said, that's my decision. So sometimes being very clear on what you want to achieve and not worrying about what others have to say does show the way. And also I picked a leaf from Dr. Mansingh's word saying that mentors are there, and they need not be extremely accessible. I really like this writer called Dave Barry. He used to write for the Miami Herald. He's funny. and there is no way I could access him. So I read a lot of his works and read and made notes. All the books that I have so many scribblings in them. And finally, when I wrote my first book, I wrote to him and I said, I'm your Eklavya. And then I explained the concept, and he sent back a note of congratulations. So sometimes people are accessible as long as we are okay to, stretch that much and reach them. So I hope that answered the questions. Yes, women have it tough, but passion, which is a chapter in this book, for me, solved a lot of my problems.
And just let me add, I think all these interviews of Kiran Majumdar, Vinita Bali, Vani Kola, and Swati Ramanathan, they are all available on my website. Please go and listen to them. Like Rachna is saying, you will pick up some things that can change your life. That's why I have made them live on my website. Please check that out. Great answer, Rachna. We can address any follow-up questions that might come.
And I'm going to now come to the fourth God. The fourth God that you talked about is books and podcasts. Anything specific? Because that we should be kind of saying, okay, that we should be reading or looking to kind of excel in here.
Yeah, so I think once you sort of set the goals that you would like to achieve, even if they are 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is, right? If you are pursuing medicine, then I would expect that at least 20% of the book or 30% of the 50 books would be in medicine, because you want to develop excellence. You want to develop depth in the area. If you want to be a lawyer, then same thing applies. You will probably be studying. If you want to be an engineer, you would be studying those books. So I'm not going to be prescribing anything. Here is what I did, and I can tell you how I did it, right? So my first goal after PhD was to become #1 in my field. I read every damn book that I could get on that subject to improve my breadth and depth, right? Then
people feel overwhelmed by this because they say, okay, I have to work, I have to do this. How do I find the time?
Well, you have to create the time. All the successful people that you would meet will tell you actually how to create time, how to balance and be a great time manager. I think you don't have to read all 50 books in 1 year. I mean, you can take 5 years, you can take 3 years, whatever you prefer, but it will change your life. That is what I'm after, right? Now, so let me tell you, so then that is the case. Now, if people inspire you, get anything that you like. Rachna gave an example, right? If Narayan Murthy inspires you or Kiran Majumdar inspires you, go and get everything on him, on her. There is a book on her. You read about it. You see what you can learn from them without actually touching base with them. So books can be inspiration books, can be subject books, can be futuristic books, can be case studies, any of these. And you yourself will see how much breadth and depth you will have after reading these books. And TED Talks, I mean, I'm saying books, but TED Talks can be equally exciting. Now you will say the gazillion TED Talks, which one should I start with? Obviously, it depends on the goal, the path that you are planning to take. You are not looking world map every day, but when you want to drive from Bangalore to Goa, you look at the map that shows you where Goa is and how to get there. You are not looking at Timbuktu's map there, right? So I think once you start setting your professional goals or other goals, you will know what to read.
Excellent. Thank you. I'd love to know if people have questions, would love to take them and, kind of have your questions actually directly answered, because I can keep on asking questions about this, but would love to hear from the audience and get your thoughts in this. All right. Mubarak Ali has a question. I'm going to ask him to unmute. Go ahead.
Good evening to all. I'm Mubarak Ali from Kerala. First of all, Eid Mubarak to all. Eid Mubarak.
Happy Eid to you too.
Happy to you as well.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And thank you, madam. Respected sir, thanks for your invaluable insight and extending my sincere thanks to organizer for this opportunity. Sir, my first question, what is the first piece of writing advice you would give to anyone inspired to write a book? My first question, sir. My second question, what inspires you, motivates you, or helps you to move forward? If you allow me, I will ask my third question, sir, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. What advice would you give your 25 years old self and why? And thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. So three questions. Let me start one by one. If I understood the first question you said is that what advice will I have for someone who wants to write a book?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Exactly, sir. Yes, sir.
If Rachna is there, I think she is better prepared to answer that question. If she is not there, I will answer it. Rachna, are you there? No, she's not there. Okay. So now,
I'm here, sir.
I perfect, perfect. Take it, please.
So yeah, if you aspire to be a writer, congratulations, and it's a very fulfilling journey. But the only advice I would have would be twofold. One is, don't be in a hurry to publish. Write and write more, and that will help you fine tune your writing. Put up a blog, get feedback from your readers, and try to get the pulse.
Okay,
And I think you
The
gave
second
another
piece of
piece of
advice would be,
advice. Yeah.
get yourself a mentor.
Yes.
Absolutely, right. And read a lot. So here is your answer, Sukirti. If he wants to write about something, some subject or some story or something, read 20 books which are similar to that. So much you can learn from that, and that will help you. So that was your first question. Your third question was actually for a 25-year-old, what is the advice I have?
No, 25-old you.
If I were 25-year-old,
what would you give yourself the advice?
Okay, I wish I had this book when I was 25-year-old, because I would have probably saved 10 years in my life. And I give this example in the book itself, that if from professional perspective, in the last 10 years of your career, you will earn more than in the first 35 years if you have done well in your career. If I had bought those 10 years, if I had this book in my hand, I would have saved those 10 years and could have amplified my impact, not just in money, but in so many other ways. So I would very, very strongly.
So now we would be targeting 10 million people that you would be impacting if you had those 10 years.
So I think read the book. I would advise that very clearly. And once you read the book, it guides you on how to define who you aspire to be, and then what skills to develop to be able to become worthy of those aspirations. So that was your third question. And the second question, can you please rephrase for me?
What advice, my third question, what inspires you, motivates you, or helps you to move forward?
Yeah. What is my inspiration? So I think I have been extremely driven person to achieve my goals. And my goals have always been balanced, not just from professional or money perspective. I can give you one or two examples of from my life, which I have covered in the book itself. See, Mubarak, when I was 30 years old after my PhD, I gave myself a goal that I wanted to be financially independent by the age 40. I was in US. My wife was a homemaker. I had a small child. I didn't have green card. I didn't have any money to start my own company. So how could I do that? I was working for HP full time, Hewlett Packard. And but this is the power of goals and power of passion. I was so passionate about it that slowly answers started appearing. And I got a clue that if I could invent something new, some new technology, and license it to some company, I can become financially independent. And this would be done on weekends and evenings without affecting my job at HP. To cut the story short, within a year and a half, I had developed an instrument which I licensed to a Boston company, and I became financially independent before the age 40. This is the power of goal and power of passion. Let me give you another example. I was CEO of my company. I had founded the company. It was very successful in US. When my mother developed some medical issues, and the Stanford Hospital gave her 6 months to live, that evening we decided to come back to India, giving up everything that I had built there. because it was important to take care of my mother. So the point I'm trying to make is I'm very goal driven. I have very clear priorities of what I want to achieve when and what is more important at a particular time. And that gives me energy, passion, and literally very, very serious desire to achieve my goals. And that keeps me going. And I have mentors. I have had mentors throughout my career. I am at 65 and I still have several mentors for both for-profit sector
I was going to
and
ask
for
you who your
non-profit
mentors
sector.
are now. Who
Yeah,
are
so
your
my
mentors now? And we're going to take Seema's question next.
yes, and my mentors now are because I have moved into venture capital world. My mentors are from venture capital world. I'm also doing a lot of social work. So my mentors are Ramesh and Swati Ramanathan, whose interview appears in the book. I learned from them how I can be more effective in driving social change. So here is an example. Hopefully that gives you full answer to all the things you are looking for, Mubarak.
Seema, go ahead.
I was just wonderstruck. I mean, I got so many answers from you, definitely. And the goal driven, the passion, and the way you just left everything, came back to India. You had your priorities set. That's really wonderful. I have a question right now. What about the women in the 2-tier and the 3-tier cities who are basically homemakers? And besides, they just realize their world has changed so much and they're just lagging behind. And how do we push them? Because they really want, after getting married and after the kids have flown, and they just have not working, or they're just these days they feel dissatisfied when they say call themselves as homemakers. How do you drive them to their maximum success and happiness? Even being a homemaker, they are successful and they can still do many more things with the years left. They think, oh, my life is over. How do I do now? I can't just do anything now.
Yeah, excellent question, Seema. I will take a short stab at it, but then I'll pass it on to Rachna because I think she can address it better than me. But very simply, I'll tell you, Seema, inspirers and role models. Enough people from second and third tier cities in the similar situation have been able to deal with it, right? The Lijjat Papad person who created, she was a very senior age, 60 years or something more. So my advice to you is there are enough role models and inspirers available who have been able to do the things that you want to do and follow their role model. So this is why I said there are 4 gods that are available who will help you get there. There are books written by certain people as well. So I think that is my short answer, but I will let Rachna answer it better probably because she understands your issues better. She comes from Allahabad, which is not a second or third tier city, but probably she can still address it. Rachna, are you there?
Oh, no, sir, it is a very small town and growing. Yes, can you hear me? I hope I'm better.
Yes, we can hear you.
So I belong to Allahabad. I've grown up there and I've studied there. I haven't moved out of Allahabad before my first job. So I connect with what you're saying. The exposure is extremely limited and there are so many issues about log kya kahenge, and it is not easy. But however, what has worked for me is firstly, not reacting to what everybody says. I choose my battles. I just do not want to take everybody head on. And people saying anything will not deter my confidence. I will listen to it from, in Hindi, they say, ek kaan se suno, dusre kaan se nikal do, and that's really worked for me. What has also worked is having a support structure at home, which is good. So I always tell young girls, marry right or don't marry. And it's a very extreme thing to say, but I say you'll do very well as a single woman. You don't have to get married to the wrong guy. Right guy, in my case, has been a huge, huge support structure. Thirdly, sit down and write your goals and make them happen. Today's world is full of opportunities. These days, I work with a startup where everybody, all of the 16 people are the same age as my children. And yet they are very welcoming and they have taken me in as a member of their team, because I have integrated myself and I want to make a change happen in this area now. So I talked to a lot of my friends who are homemakers, and I asked them, get a piece of paper and write down what's holding you back. If you have made up your mind, especially in today's world, there is so much you can do online, there is so much you can do in the retail space, in the entrepreneurial space, but you got to make up your mind.
And as aspire big, Seema, when you aspire big, a lot of energy you derive through passion and other things. And again, you will look for role models who would have achieved that. You would have inspirers who would have achieved that. It's not difficult. I mean, it's difficult, but it is doable. Let me put it that way. Nobody can stop you.
If you have to inspire them and you don't just have to give them guidance, and you yourself are in the same boat, so how do you do that?
So I will have a chat with them, or in this case, like I said, go and read the book. It tells you precisely how people have done it. There's a chapter 13 where there are mentees of mine, who there were almost 20 mentees of mine, from students to landscaper to woodworking person to technical people and so on. Hopefully you will be able to relate to somebody there, including a 60-year-old person who talks about this. So somebody will give you that, oh, this person was able to do this, so I can do that too. So I think role model is a very powerful first step. First, figure out what you want to do, think big during that time, and then figure out a role model, and a lot of answers will start coming.
And I think what Dr. Vivek is also saying, especially now, we are seeing a lot of women that are emerging as, like I would say, on the forefront in Lijjat Papar. You see them in e-commerce, you see them in so many areas that are kind of, you can say, okay, and I'm inspired by them, because I also feel if she could do it at 65, I can definitely, I have 12 more years to go. I can definitely do it.
Nykaa founder is in 50s, right?
Nykaa founder, yeah.
So, and if she started at 52 or 53, the company. So if she could do it, why not? And there are even more simpler ones that were housewives that have started. And I think even on Sipping Thoughts, we try to bring many of those women, and some of them were housewives that started and grew these companies into phenomenal successes. So I think, yes, it does. I mean, at least I'm most inspired by Nykaa than any of the other ones, because of the fact that she started at 53.
At 53.
Me too. Even I am greatly inspired by her. And Sukriti, by you too, the way you started out with Sipping Thoughts. So that was such an inspiration. So thank you Vivek and Rachna and Sukirti. Thank you so much.
One last
Sukirti,
question I'm going to ask you. See, when we set these lofty goals, right, we are always worried about failure. What happens when we don't achieve that lofty goal?
So I think first of all, failure is not opposite of success. Failure is part of success. No one I know, and I have worked with many very successful people. Nobody I know who has just succeeded all in a straight line. Everything they tried to do, they were able to do. It doesn't happen that way. So failure is part of success. And actually in the book, I cover my own failures, so that people realize that it's that phenomena. Everyone fails, right? So I think that is very important. Keep trying. There is no, I mean, every startup, you would know that before they succeed, they almost have near-death experience, right? So keep trying. I tell the entrepreneurs that don't open parachute too early. Give it everything you have, and then hopefully things turn around. But you will have your share of failures. You don't have to worry about that. Let me just, because the time is so limited and I don't know how much we have, let me just summarize a few points before I open it for more questions. So first, I will say, read the book. I guarantee it will change your life and thinking process, which is the first step that you can take, right? The message in the book is underlined by these 11 phenomenal leaders. And these interviews are not generic interviews. These are about the content in the book, and they are underlining that message, right? Mentor others if you can. See, before you look for mentors, Pick somebody, your maid's daughter. Can you help her? Can you guide her? You will have new respect for your own mentor when you do that, right? Strive for meaningful success, because one-dimensional success is not what you want to achieve. Most people say at the end that it wasn't worth it, right? One last quotation from my book before I open it for more questions if people want, that future should not be decided by extrapolation of your past. Think about it. Future should not be decided by extrapolation or should not be based on your past. It should be derived by aspirations of your future. So many people think past, I have been doing this, so now how can I take a jump? Well, there are enough examples of the people who have decided to change their career or aspired for something big and have been able to achieve it. So keep this in mind. Future should not be decided by extrapolation of your past. It should be derived from the aspirations of your future. With that, I will open if there are any more questions, Sukriti.
Any other questions? Please do feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, we will ask both Rachna and Dr. Vivek for their closing words. I think no more questions, but just one came up. Rachna, are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, she is. I'm not sure if she can listen. Both of us are in LinkedIn.
I am. Yeah.
Perfect.
Can you just put your LinkedIn handle in the chat? That would be awesome.
Yes, I will.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts, Dr. Vivek and Dr. Rachna? So we know we need to read the book, but and secondly, the 4 gods, I love them. The one that inspire the role models, finding a mentor, and then the books and podcasts, the 50 that we need to read. And the 5th thing I took away is writing down those goals, whether they be for 5 years, 10 years. And so you first need to make that roadmap.
Absolutely. Advice to people, I think, like I said, one, read the book. There are enough examples that you will be able to relate to one of them that will help you in guiding how to take the next steps. Get a mentor. You may not get the ideal mentor right away, but the book will give you a head start. And find a mentor. Change a mentor. Mentor does not have to be for life. As your aspirations change, as your life changes, get new mentors as needed. But the most important thing is aspire big and write it down. Create multi-dimensional, balanced life goals, and then go after them with a lot of passion. And nobody can stop you. I guarantee you with that.
So we have a question from Seema, and I think it relates to your point because she doesn't get the point about these multi-dimensional. So go ahead, Seema.
Yeah, Seema, multi-dimensional. Oh, you want to ask questions or you want me to explain? Go ahead. Go ahead if you can clarify your question.
I wanted to ask about this multi-dimensional success. Do you mean that we have, like 6 books in our life, health and relationships and money and health? So we should have proper goals in every one instead of just taking up a career, correct?
You got it right? And in the book, I have described what has been important for me, but it is not about me, it is about you. So you decide, but it is very important that you have professional goals which cover your career, your money, your car, your house and other things, but also your well-being goals which cover your health, which cover your spirituality, which cover your relationships, which cover other aspects that you care about. It is very, very important that we cover both sides.
What if after a certain age, you have achieved the peak of success, you earned as much money which you cannot even spend in this life. Now you don't want to do that anymore, right? So now you want to go to the spiritualism and spread the message of spiritualism. Money is not the goal at all now, right? And I would like to go for a corporate spiritualism, talking about myself, but I'm not clear how to start, where to start, and what to do, and where I find the mentor.
Yeah, I think first, there is a chapter on giving back. I am a very strong believer of giving back. If you are achieving your goals, or frankly, throughout your journey, you need to give back. And you will see examples from there, from my life and my children's life and some other people. Giving back is very, very important. It helps you in multiple ways. So I think you can always give back. I'm giving anything that I'm earning beyond the age of 60, I'm actually giving it back. And there's so many people who have given back so much. So I think giving back should be an important part of your goal. But if you are again pursuing this path that you talked about, corporate spiritualism, if you want to pick up, I think there are enough role models there. Start from the role model again. They'll guide you to your next step, and the book will guide you in capturing your aspirations in goals, and it will guide you on how to become worthy of achieving those goals.
Rachna, any closing thoughts from you?
It's been really wonderful, and thank you so much for having me over. And all I've learned from my life is that there'll be a lot of failures, maybe more failures than you are probably willing to face. But if you don't let those bog you down, they're as bad or good as how you interpret them in your head, and you just keep moving ahead and you find a way to smile. I'm a cancer survivor as well, and you just find a way to smile and move on. The world just rewards you. It just has its way of coming back and telling the hardworking, the passionate, the innovative person that, yeah, I'm here for you. I'm going to make things happen for you because you've done your bit.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rachna. Thank you, Dr. Rachna. Thank you, Dr. Vivek and Rachna. Maybe I am also putting a thought in your head that will also happen soon. It was really a refreshing session, and I think we got really inspired. And so, thank you for that.
It was very, very wonderful session. I really like the questions from audience as well. So thank you guys. But I think aspire big, change the world for yourself and for others. All the best.
Thank you, and have a very happy Eid, everyone. So
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.